Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes,
We can see.
we can see it. Yeah.
Good, perfect. So hello everyone from very sunny Luxembourg. My name is Vitis FAURE TILGAARD, and as said, I'm from DG CNECT, where I work in the unit responsible for interactive technologies and digital for culture and education. And I'm part of the team that is working on the digital education and skills for European citizens. So we're here today to talk about data literacy, specifically for innovation in the public sector. And as Maria Claudia also said, 2023 is the European Year of Skills. So there has really never been a better time to discuss digital skills, including data literacy, and why they are so important. And at EU level, digital skills are of high political importance. That's true both for basic as well as advanced digital skills. So I'm going to take this opportunity to share a bit with you what the Commission is doing to promote digital education and skills, notably to increase data literacy. So let me start by setting the scene, because today 90% of jobs require some level of digital skills, and millions of companies are struggling to find digitally skilled workers. We also have a lack of ICT specialists, because we see that more than half of EU enterprises that are recruiting or have tried to recruit ICT specialists have had difficulties in filling their vacancies. And in addition to that sort of structural shortage of both ICT specialists, but also sector specialists that have advanced digital skills, we also see still a persistent gender gap, as only a small share of ICT specialists and ICT graduates are women, and that can affect the way digital solutions are devised and deployed. Looking at data skills specifically, with our European strategy for data, we're aiming to make the EU a leader in a data-driven society. And creating a single market for data will allow it to flow freely within the EU and across sectors for the benefit of both businesses, researchers, but also public administrations. And projected figures for 2025 show that the value of the data economy in the EU is going to increase from 301 billion euros to 829 billion in 2025. And the number of data professionals is going to increase from 5.7 million to 10.2 million in 2025. Unfortunately, big data and analytics are also at the top of the list of critical skills shortages. And along with AI, data analysis is the #1 skill for which there will be most demand for by 2027. And we actually see that the demand is going to quadruple compared to today. However, general data literacy in the workforce and across the population is relatively low. There's also some participation gaps, for example, by the elderly. And if we turn specifically to the public sector, in the Open Data Maturity Report, the last one published by my colleagues in the Publication Office, revealed that there is an absence of adequate data skills and literacy among civil servants. And our European strategy for data stresses that if that's not addressed, the shortage in data experts and the lack of data literacy risks affecting and will affect the EU's capacity to master the challenges of the data economy and society. So to address this, we have adopted the Digital Decade Policy Program, where we have set targets for 2030. And they cover 4 areas: digital skills, digital infrastructures, digital transformation of businesses, and digitalization of public services. And I'm going to be focusing on the first one at the top here, digital skills targets, which cover both basic and advanced digital skills. So in 2021, 54% of the European population had at least basic digital skills, and we had around 9 million ICT specialists in the EU. And as I said, we need to increase those numbers. So that's why we've set targets at EU level in the context of this Digital Decade Policy Program. And we want 80% of the population to have basic digital skills, and we want 20 million ICT specialists in Europe by 2030. And we are continuously monitoring the progress made in every member states on each of the 4 target groups. And we're going to be publishing a report every year until 2030 to take stock of how far we all have come in achieving the targets based on input from member states, and also providing recommendations. And the first yearly report is going to be published quite soon this summer. So now, as you can imagine, achieving these targets is not going to be easy. They're ambitious. So the EU has developed a set of actions to support member states with several initiatives. So I'm just going to go through a couple of them. So the first is the Digital Education Action Plan. It builds on the lessons learned during the pandemic and focuses us on concrete actions to achieve the priorities of fostering high-performing digital education ecosystems, as well as enhancing digital skills and competences. And the action plan stresses that the promotion of a high quality and inclusive digital education requires an ecosystem approach that involves a collective effort of all the actors across all governmental levels, education and training institutions, as well as the public and private sector. Then we have the European Skills Agenda. That's a 5-year plan that supports the green and digital transitions with initiatives such as the Pact for Skills. And that helps mobilize the private sector and other stakeholders to upskill and reskill Europe's workforce. And under this Pact for Skills, which currently counts over 1,000 members, we've set up 14 large-scale partnerships in different strategic sectors, and that includes the digital ecosystem. And the stakeholders have made commitments to help upskill and reskill up to 6 million people in Europe. We also have the European Pillar of Social Rights Action Plan that supports the development of basic digital skills for the workforce. And then finally, both the European Industrial and SME Strategy, European Strategy for Data that I mentioned before, and the Coordinated Action Plan on Artificial Intelligence all include actions targeting the improvement of digital skills among the population and its workers. In terms of funding, member states are making use of the Recovery and Resilience Facility to support measures and reforms in the area. Around 17% of the RRF expenditure is dedicated to digital objectives, or 17% of the expenditure that is dedicated to digital objectives is being spent on digital skills development. So that represents about 22 billion euros. And our main funding program for digital skills is the Digital Europe program. In our work program for 2021 and 2022, we dedicated 166 million euros to advance digital skills. And out of those 122 million were spent on the development of highly specialized education programs and courses in digital technologies to make Europe a world leader in the training of notably data engineers, but also quantum scientists or cybersecurity experts. And 44 remaining million went to upskilling, to short-term training, digital transformation of the education sector, and other actions. And in our work program for this year, we're dedicating 58 million euros to advanced digital skills. So this year, we're going to continue funding specialized education programs as part of the Digital Decade target to achieve the 20 million ICT experts in the EU by 2030. But we're also going to seek to reinforce skills related specifically to the semiconductor industry and also create a cyber skills academy for upskilling and reskilling purposes with a particular focus on the needs of SMEs and public administrations. And we're also going to work on boosting digital skills for young people with a particular focus on girls because they're often represented in the field. And the first round of digital skills related calls for this year opened last month, and there will be a second round opening in the autumn. There are also other funding programs that support actions in this area, notably Erasmus Plus and the European Social Fund. So as you can see, we're providing quite a lot of support and opportunities to achieve our Digital Decade targets for 2030. Now, one initiative that I wanted to highlight because it can be of relevance to many of you, and some of you may already be familiar with, is the Digital Skills and Jobs platform. It's sort of our one-stop shop for all things digital skills in Europe. And it brings together initiatives, resources, and the digital skills community. And going on the platform, you would be able to find good practices, training opportunities, studies, national strategies, also data and opinion posts. We also have a feature for pledges where companies, organizations, and other stakeholders can make concrete contributions to reducing the digital skills gap in Europe. And then the platform is the home for the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition, which tackles the digital skills gap by bringing together the member states, but also social partners, companies, nonprofit organizations, and education providers to really raise awareness and encourage organizations to take different actions to support digital skills training. Currently, we have national coalitions established in 25 EU member states. And since 2021, many of these national coalitions have been updating their own national websites by developing a two-way information system with our core Digital Skills and Jobs platform. And at this stage, 18 of the national coalitions have their websites connected to the central platform and are contributing regularly with new relevant content on digital skills related to their countries. We also organize communication campaigns and webinars on the topics of digital transformation and upskilling in Europe, on reinforcing key technologies in the European Union, and on digital skills for recovery and growth. So I encourage you to join that community. You can sign up on the platform to our newsletter to get information on all our events and activities. Now on to the Year of Skills itself. As I said, 2023, European Year of Skills. It's really a unique opportunity to bring even more attention to digital skills in Europe. And throughout the year, we're going to promote upskilling and reskilling opportunities by highlighting all the relevant EU initiatives, as well as EU funding possibilities to really support the take-up, implementation, and delivery on the ground of those initiatives. Several new EU proposals and initiatives have already been adopted or will be adopted during the Year of Skills to underpin our ongoing efforts to further boost skills development across the member states. And on 18th of April, we adopted two important documents. The first is a proposal for a council recommendation on the enabling factors for successful digital education. It's not a very catchy name, but in that proposal, we call on member states to ensure universal access to inclusive and high quality digital education and training, and to address the digital divide, which has really become even more apparent after the COVID crisis. And it proposes guidance and specific actions that member states can pursue to implement a whole of government and really a multi-stakeholder approach, as well as a culture of bottom-up innovation and digitalization led by the education and training staff itself. The second proposal we adopted is a proposal for a council recommendation on the provision of digital skills in education and training. That one highlights the need to start early by providing digital skills in a coherent way through all levels of education and training. And our proposal calls on member states to support high quality informatics in schools, to mainstream the development of digital skills for adults, and to address the shortage of ICT professions by adopting inclusive strategies. And that second proposal also highlights the Council conclusions on digital education in Europe's knowledge societies, which call for digital education that notably covers media, digital and data literacy, as well as critical thinking and the fight against disinformation. But to achieve real impact, we need a coalition of efforts from all stakeholders and labor market actors. So throughout the years, there are going to be opportunities to engage in discussions, such as today, for example, to learn from each other and to promote all the work we do and you do in the field of skills development. So for that, you can find all the skills-related activities near you by checking the interactive map on the main webpage of the Year of Skills. I put the link so you can click there. And if you're organizing events on skills development, we really encourage you to add them to this event map, because not only is it going to contribute to our efforts, but it's also going to help your events and activities to get more visibility. So you can find more information on the Year of Skills and their activities planned on the website. Now, one contribution, our biggest contribution to the Year of Skills in the context of the Digital Skills and Jobs platform is the European Digital Skills Awards. They're an opportunity to give visibility and to encourage sharing experiences and ideas on how to best equip Europeans with digital skills at all levels. And the awards will reward projects that are helping bridge the digital gap in 5 different categories. And we received over 300 applications with some very interesting initiatives that we are giving some more visibility to and promoting. And we hosted an event where we announced the finalists in each category a few weeks ago. And on the 27th of June, we're going to announce the final winners. So with all this, I hope I've given you a bit of an overview on the state of play of digital skills and the actions that we're taking to close the digital skills gap. And I'm very happy to take questions. And after that, I look forward to hearing from the other initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vitis, for this great presentation and overview of what is going on in the European Union. I see on the Slido that there are 2 questions. One including the fact that you mentioned, yeah, perfect. My colleague is sharing the question, so you can answer it directly yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, so for the first one, yes, I can absolutely share the presentation. For Erasmus, that is a very specific question to cooperate with l'Europe. I mean, there are we do a lot to work with the different stakeholders and also both at national level and at European level. For Erasmus, I have to say that's with DG EAC. It's a different. We deal with digital skills. Erasmus is with the schools, so that's with the colleagues in DG EAC. So I'm afraid I can't answer that very specific question.
Thank you very much for the other attendees. If you have any questions, feel free to use the Slido, or just let us know. You can ask it directly right now. And if you still need some time to think about a question, you can also wait until the end, because then we're going to have another Q&A.
If there are no more questions, I think we're going to go to our second panelist.
I think there's one, just slide it in. It's about how about the language perspective?
Yes.
So I'm not sure exactly what you mean about the language perspective. I mean, obviously a big part is the regional aspects. So we, for example, if I take the example of the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, so we work with national coalitions. So they are the experts in their member states. They know their member states way better than we do. They have the knowledge. So we work with them. We see them once a month and talk with them a lot. So we get the information that way. Also, we've as input for these two proposals for council recommendations that I mentioned, we've conducted a structured dialogue with all the member states so that they could really tell us about the challenges they face and what's important for them, what's complicated, also coming up with solutions and sharing what works and what doesn't work. But obviously the language aspect is an important one. I'm trying to look at the others and mentioning the Open Data Maturity Report. Indeed, it's a very good input. And for the skills, you should be able to add it in the link on the map and the events. There's a form you can fill out with your details, so you can find it on the website.
Thank you very much for answering the questions. So let's see, is there anything else?
Not, I think we're going to follow up with the next speaker, Mr. Olli-Pekka RISSANEN. Are you here with us?
Yes, I try to.
Perfect.
Yes, and now I try to share my screen.
Directly from Finland. Thanks a lot again.
Yeah.
So we're very happy to have with us Mr. Olli-Pekka RISSANEN, who's a chief specialist from the Ministry of Finance in Finland. He's going to tell us more about the co-creation and co-design for more efficient use of public information in the context of Finland. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope you can see my slides because I can't see myself them.
You can see very well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to give you the short story about how we built up what is behind when we have some kind of new e-learning content and a podcast. They are not coming from outer space. There's a lot of work behind there, and we have done this cooperative work, and I'm going to show you very shortly what we have done and how it has proceeded, and give you some ideas about what it means for us that building up this kind of, because I see that this cooperation and co-design is more about also about adding the skills to us all, because when we are discussing together, when we are working together, we learn much more than working separately in the different organizations. We can change ideas, we can test the ideas, and so after that process, this process took a couple of years, and after that we build up this e-learning content. And I show this project, it was about opening and using public data, and I'm a little bit opening what we try to do there and what we were doing. And in the end, I am speaking about a little bit about these online trainings and podcasts. This background of this project was part of the implementation of a government program, very typical for the ministries. But before that, what has happened, we had during the government before, we had we made a report from the government to the parliament about information policy. We are using in Finland the information policy because it's coming from Finnish language, but you can translate it as a data policy in EU language and EU content. So the idea was that we start to implement the goals of the government program, but when we decide what are these areas of this project, we had a couple of roundtables with our biggest agencies, and we collect the ideas from there, what they really need, what they really see is necessary for them to advance in using of data and using the data cross-sectoral. We have a long history here in Finland using the base registers. The first base register is started about almost 60 years. No, it's exactly 60 years ago. And we have done a lot of work on using data. Example, taxation is about collecting the data from many different sources. But still, example, the right down corner about this interoperability was the main question from these biggest agencies, and that was a reason which decided that we are going to take the part of this project concentrating on these APIs and other part of this interoperability. And also these other areas was coming from there. The quality of data, it's coming more and more important all the time. And when we are speaking about the quality of data, it's not so simple that is the information right or wrong, but it's more about how suitable is for the different tasks used by different organizations. It is and it's now in the age of AI, artificial intelligence, it seems that the quality of data is more important than ever, because many times these biases in AI is coming from this data. Access to information, open data, but also the data with some limitations it's a crucial part. And of course, we have to all the time check what kind of strategies we have, what kind of strategic objectives we have, and this was the fourth part. So we work on these four different parts here in this project, and all of them was done openly, participating. We didn't count how many people, but there was hundreds of people participating in this project. We have a governing board, we have a different kind of working groups and this kind of structure, but all the results was published, and all the during this project we organized many webinars. And one small remark is here that all this project was all the time under the pandemic. The governing board has only one physical meeting in the end of this project, and all what we done, we did in a web and in a network. And so it was, for us, it was also the learning process how to work this kind of project totally without the physical content. We had one conference between these guarantees, and next day there was new. When we had the conference, in the next day there was again published that yes, we have a new guarantee, and so everybody has to work from home. So we all we didn't have this opportunity to meet people and put the post-its. So we have to use different kind of tools and methods to keep this, like this Slido. We use that example in our webinars. And this, as I always repeat, that there was hundreds of people participating in this work. And of course, when there are so many people, of course, we couldn't accept all these comments, all these views, but all these comments, all these views are building up the understanding what we need to use the data better ways. And especially when we have this lockdown and all the people are sitting in the home with the headphones. And these subgroups, there was different kind of subgroups, these 4 main subgroups, plus some very specific subgroups. In some subgroups, we collect the people. We collect these people who we know that they are specialists, and some subgroups were very open. And here is the example, a couple of how we use these some of our services. We have these on services like in many countries, and I think the most countries, how the people can comment and this lausuntopalvelu, it's a official public hearing method which we are using now for all the papers, all the laws and everything. These other Otakanta is more about this, so that open commenting, and that's. And also we used Google Docs, and typically we put the Google Docs so that everybody can access it and everybody can edit it. We have very good experiences from that. People can directly edit the text. There has been never any challenges. We have used this many times, and so we have to trust the people, and people it makes that they trust us because they can see the text, they can change it to the text, and of course all the changes are marked there using this Google Docs features. And now after this project, we have 2 networks, one for this data quality and one for these APIs. And now we just had an election, and now there is still going on the government negotiations. So we don't know what we are going to start this year, what is going to follow there. But we believe that we have to work still on this data quality and APIs. And most probably there is going to be something on a new government program. So we work with hundreds of the people, understand and make some reports and some information. And after that, we were ready to do some online trainings. We use our, we have a specific company for that, supporting us in this, doing these online trainings. We had never done it before. So again, one challenge for us to learn new skills. And because when you have to push all these ideas we have collected, all the ideas which was in a report to the 1 hour online training, it was rather challenging, but it's also good for making our thinking sharper. And so this online training, the building up of online training is not an easy task. It's rather challenging, and and there is of course when we look the numbers of users, they are not very high because this is very specific issue. But example, this data quality, there is most of the people, there is the biggest numbers of users, and we have this kind of digital learning environment for the government, but it's these e-learnings are open for everybody, and we have also translated them to English. And here there is a link to the English content, and I say as this there's an introduction to information policy, data sharing, data quality, and data interoperability. So these trainings are just the same as was the in the project. So we build up these trainings from the project. Now, so they are Finnish and Swedish, which are our official languages, and we translated it also to English. And so everybody can use them as they want. And the podcast, that was something new for us also. We made 20 podcasts, and we invited. I made a couple of them myself, but most of them we made so that we invited some people to discuss from academia. Our minister was in one of these podcasts, and different kind of issues, very wide, like this digital sovereignty. I was there discussing with one of our academic who is specialized on history of Europe and the politics in Europe, and so we try to go to and see what from different perspectives about this information policy. We have had a very good responses from the people and comments from the people. They like this very much. But the numbers of listeners, they are not very high, because again, this is very specific area. But at least when we reach the people who are interested about these topics, it's important, and we found that this podcast is very good method for distributing the information. And yes, we didn't know beforehand how to do the podcast and what is the work, what is the podcast was my first step to understand. I had made some work for the newspapers, but this podcast was totally new for us again. And I'm not surprised if you disagree with me about these lessons learned. They are special lessons I learned. I have been here in the ministry for over 20 years and in this business almost 40 years. And I have seen the change in how we work and which kind of environment we have. And it seems that now it's communication is everything. We are in the Ministry of Finance. Yes, we can publish information and we can trust that some people are reading it. But it's not so anymore. There are so many other stakeholders, and so we need to concentrate and think how we communicate different ideas we have, what we have done. Because if there is no communications, people don't find our results. People don't even know that we have done something, and we can say that after that they feel that there is not such a thing. And so and for us in this project, the communication was not a separate issue. It was part of the all activities. We didn't do anything without thinking about communication. what kind of messages we are sending, are we doing podcasts, are we organizing a webinar, are we doing e-learning courses, what are these, what are the methods, all the steps we rethink. And always when we organize some webinar, we rethink and analyze and debrief what we learned from there. So now I learned this from this project, that now we have changed the environment, it has changed so that we have to concentrate on communications. Thanks.
So much. Thank you so much for this presentation, which I think was very insightful. I can see in the Slido that there are a lot of questions. So I will ask my colleague to share the Slido, and I'll give you the floor again, Olli, to maybe proceed and answer some of them.
Yes.
Yes.
This is,
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. I see the first one here. How about security in the Google Ads? Yes, we noticed that there is no security. We can put on the Google Docs only what is open material only. But because, as I said, that communication is essential, putting the material in a Google Docs is also the communication. Yes, we have there's challenges to encourage the people follow these online courses. We do some advertising, but also some organizations are asking their employees to participate these courses. It's not a compulsory for them. Yes, the copies, I have sent it to them. This isn't for me, I think so.
Source.
Yes.
I think they want to, about open source.
They are CC license, so everybody can use them.
Then there was one question about, you mentioned something about APIs. If you can elaborate a bit more about which API you developed, maybe they were related to base registry, or which was the topic? Thank you.
We didn't develop any API in this project, because this project was that we create the strategy and methods how to make APIs, and encourage the people do these APIs, and encourage the people understand what is the meaning of API. Because as I said, that we have a long history of these connecting these base registers, but APIs are opening a totally new world, because you can have API not only for the information you can have behind the API, you can have also the services. So it's a more about new way of thinking this API here in for us what we did, and we hope that all these it's helping the organizations doing the APIs.
Yeah, of course, it helps a lot, even more because the Open Data Directive is asking member states to publish APIs. So
yeah,
you are sort of
yes, we can see that this is a part of our implementation of Open Data Directive also.
Correct.
And it's a when, especially when we are speaking of high value data sets, it's during this project we were all the time waiting these high value data sets, that so we can use them as one of example opening APIs, but they came so close to the end of this project we couldn't use them, but now we are implementing this high value data sets. And yes, Yes, we now we have a connection, a lot of connection now to academia, and we had example the specific discussion do the academic work, but we have to continue still. But example in this data quality, there was people from different part of government and people from academia discussing, because the secondary use of data is secondary to do the science, but also the secondary use of data is that is very important when we are speaking. And one starting point for us when we started the project was that the data quality project was that we listened the researchers, and they say that yes, you have a great data, but we have to spend a lot of time in analyzing and cleaning the data. That was one starting point for us why we started this data quality part of this project. Yes, there is no official certificate. There is some kind of unofficial diploma when you enter the e-learning. It's more like that. People can be happy. Yes, I don't know if I
see a nice question, interesting question about podcast. You know, main lesson learned doing.
Yes, the podcast as a media and podcast as a media for the government is very interesting, because you have from the very beginning, you have to little bit or rather much think about their audience, what kind of audience you can have for the podcast. If you are using a podcast and listening a podcast, it's rather much investing your time for listening. Typically, our podcast was from 30 minutes to almost 1 hour. And so then the people decide to listen some podcast, even they are in the kitchen making some food or walking around and whatever, it's still they decide to use their time for that. So they have to be value for their time. And you have to find just the teams and that are interested for these people. Maybe we have too big variety of teams. If I now will start a podcast series, I'm going to limit it a little bit. What is the themes of these podcasts? It's an interesting media, and it's easier for people than the reports. And when you have a couple of people discussing vividly in the studio, it's also there is something specific. It's more like television or radio. And so it's
There's another question about the benchmarking. So did you do a benchmarking of good practices before you started this data literacy initiative? And are you inspired by
yes,
a country
we did it. We used the consults to analyze what is happening in other countries, and we try to learn from them and pick up some best practices. And so we did it all the time. That we do it all the time. We are always looking at other countries, what they are doing. Yes.
And do you have something specific in mind for the next coming, let's say, month and year? Do you have
We don't, because now we are waiting for the government program. We have to look at that. But I hope that we can build up something on this work during this government. The last government was left-wing government with the Greens, and now we have a right-wing government. But typically in Finland, there is no big change in these policies. Of course, there are some little bit changes, but not. We are not waiting for the big changes. So we hope that we can continue our work. And sorry, but I have to answer about this. Comment this. We have now a specific parliamentary group. Its name is Tietopolitiikka.fi. It's information policy.fi. All parliamentary parties are there discussing about information and technology policy in Finland. And they made a rather extensive list of tasks for the new government together, all the parties together. Of course, they have different opinions, but they are also these political parties are now cooperating, and also they open their process. They have discussed with us and with the different kind of stakeholders for industry and so on. So I really believe on this opening our work.
Yeah, even more because when we are discussing about innovation, specifically digital innovation, this should be apolitical, no?
Yes, we are living in a very challenging times now.
Yeah.
Yeah, also for the other attendees, if you want to speak up, you can chat, just write your name in the chat, and then we can unmute you if you want to say something yourself, or also use the Slido.
Yes. Okay. Did I answer most of the questions? I think so.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Yes.
I think there is just one question for someone who was wondering if these online courses were for citizen, government officials. So maybe this wasn't clear.
Also the one about data quality. I think now I see it. I think we didn't discuss about this. It's also very important what you mentioned. No data, no AI. So data quality is something where we need to really focus in our processes. So maybe these two questions, if you still have time, then we can move to the last speaker. Thank you.
If you look these AI projects which have failed, typically they don't fail because of these algorithms. They failed because of the data. And about these training sessions, in our mind was government officials and also the officials from municipalities. They are not for citizens planned, because we don't know what to say to the citizens, to be honest. We are flying so high that there is a big step from us to the citizens' interests. But because, of course, the idea behind is there that when we have a better use of data, we can have better services. And we have to learn, and we have to have a better skills in a government and the municipalities. And about this data quality, yes, we had our biggest agencies was there participating in this work, and also they work with academia for this. And it was run by Finnish Statistics. And they are still responsible for this data quality project, Finnish Statistics.
Okay, thank you, Olli. I think this answers the last question we've had. Very interesting to see also how what you presented is actually a product of an important collaboration actually between different institutions in Finland. I'll put a link in the chat if you want to follow up with this initiative. In the meantime, we're slowly going to move to our last panelist. I'm going to ask my colleague to share the slides. And we will welcome Helena CAMPBELL on stage, who's the head of the Open Data Unit for Ireland in the Department of Public Expenditure.
Hi.
Helena.
Hello.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
very well.
perfectly.
Oh, that's
Hello,
great.
Helena.
Thank you very much. One moment now, and I'm going to just launch my presentation.
We
You've
can
got
see
that.
it.
You can see that?
Yes,
Okay,
perfect.
that's fantastic. Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. It's lovely to be here. I'm going to talk to you about data literacy in the Irish public sector. I'm the head of the Open Data Unit, so I'll be talking about data literacy in relation to open data particularly, but these skills are, they are common across all data management. You can move to the next slide. So can you see my next slide there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm going to talk about data literacy. So there are three main areas of our work. There's the legislation awareness, information and compliance. There's the technical element of data standards, governance, presentation and publishing on the Open Data Portal. And then there's also the network support and development. Open data is very much predicated on sharing as much data as possible to as many people as possible. And with that in mind, it requires a large cohort of skilled data creators and users. And for us, the practice and the principle of data skills are very much closely intertwined. So we run a framework of training courses to improve data skills across the public sector. And through this, we also promote information on existing and forthcoming legislation as it relates to data management. We also run networking events, webinars, newsletters, informal meetings to keep our network members up to date on national and EU legislation, the supports that we provide, the portal and the data standards that are required. So I suppose the first thing, the question is, what is data literacy as it relates to us? And I think it's a combination of things. It's the organizational skills of good data collection, collecting it once, ensuring it's relevant, usable, metadata creation, semantics, consistency, and cohesion. It's the technical skills of data storage, access, and security. It's the ability to interrogate and present data, but it's also legislation compliance. We have an increasingly complex ecosystem of data and digital strategies, acts, requirements, standards, and the public sector is really at the forefront of the compliance with all of these. Next slide, please. So our current situation in Ireland, we have a number of organisations that specialise in data management, and the data literacy and the skills of their staff is extremely high. But for the majority of public sector staff, they have identified improved data skills as a requirement. We ran a number of town halls as we are preparing to create our new open data strategy, and the town halls were organized to inform that strategy. And one of the main outcomes from that, one of the main messages that we got from those town halls was that improved skills is something that public sector workers desperately need and want to inquire. They can very much see the benefit of it. They can see how it will make them more efficient, make them more effective. So the next slide, please. What we're doing about this in the Open Data Unit, we have developed two separate frameworks. The first of those is the Open Data Framework. This has created a series of courses that I'll speak about in a moment to directly provide practical and academic training for public sector staff. We have also developed a technical support framework, and into that we have included coaching and knowledge exchange to improve the data skills in practice for the staff who are actually managing the data in the here and now. And we've coordinated these specialist training programs with the general public sector data skills and general training. So it's integrated into the wider training system of the public service. Our specialist open data training skills covers a number of areas. There's the general introduction to open data, which aims to develop the knowledge and the understanding of what open data is and what it means for citizens and the public sector. That's very much an introduction for people who are not aware of open data. There's an introduction to the Open Data Directive, which includes the high-value data sets to show public sector staff how they need to, what they need to do to be compliant with the Open Data Directive. Our most practical course, I think, is the Open Data Audits and Data Publication. It's all about how an individual public servant manages and publishes their open data. It gives them the practical skills of cleaning and the logical organization of data in preparation for its publication. We have two other slightly more specialized courses on data analytics and visualization. This applies to all data skills. It's about how to present your data, how to engage the user with your data. And the second of those is data anonymization techniques. Anonymization and security is important across all data areas. But in particular with open data, it allows as much data to be published as possible. So the next slide on course design. We worked with the trainers and also with university academics to develop course material that would cover both the academic element of data management and the open data unit provided the input for the legislative outlook and the compliance requirements for public servants. In particular, I suppose the data audit and publication course, it's about the practice of data management. The attendees, they bring a sample of their own data and they work on it in the course to audit, to clean, to describe, write the metadata and the tag data on their own data. We find that this is one of the most popular and the most useful elements, because talking about data skills in theory is all very well and good, but when you see how it applies to your own data that you work with, it really makes a difference. And attendees are also asked to give feedback to the course organizers and to the Open Data Unit to ensure that the trainings meet their needs and we maintain a high standard. Next slide, please. So what we need. It's a critical mass, really. A critical mass of people with good enough data skills is what is essential. In the last academic year, from September 2022 to May 23, 500 public sector staff attended these courses, and these were drawn from 79 different public bodies throughout Ireland. This is a significant increase on staff attending these courses. Data is a key tool to foster innovation in the public sector, and data skills are essential to do this effectively. Open data has very much been at the leading edge of promoting broad and innovative data use, and open data training has also promoted general data skills and a better awareness of the benefits of data skills. The public sector needs these data skills to foster the dynamic innovation where data sources and regulations and access is really rapidly evolving. So next slide, please. One of our main projects this year has been the development of our new open data strategy. The key elements of these will be the data quality, the relevance of our data to our data users, and also supporting our data providers. Those data providers are the public servants across all of the all of the government and agency bodies in Ireland. It'll be based on providing trustworthy and quality data to users. We will also be supporting the providers with developing a platform to deliver excellence through CECT, communication and idea exchange platform on our portal, and also a general portal upgrade and CCAN upgrade. This is just one of our new infographics from our strategy. I wanted to use it to show how central open data is to digital innovation, to better communications, inclusivity, and service development. And just to wrap up, I would say that our data ecosystem in Europe is becoming increasingly complex, and we need to match these requirements with the skills to deliver them. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Helena, for this great presentation and for all the information provided. I think my colleague will share the Slido. I saw a question regarding the number of participants that you've had, if I'm correct. 2 seconds, my colleague will share the screen.
So,
Yeah, so the question is,
See where you are.
Yeah, maybe now you can order by, the most
recent?
Yes.
You go
Yeah.
recent, yeah.
Like this.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's the latest. Let's go up.
So yeah, you can see there are 2 questions.
Do you have a system to control what sort of information the public servants as data providers must not share? Well, yes, we do, absolutely. And I suppose the basis of that is GDPR and the GDPR regulations. So there is no personal data shared. There is no data that would compromise the business function of a department or compromise the planning system of that department. But we aim to publish as much as possible. The bottom line is that we're GDPR compliant.
Thank you. There's another one. Yeah, like how long has the specialists open data training going for, and how do you measure the effectiveness of your initiative?
Well, this framework has just been running since last September, and we've stopped from the summer as of the end of May. So the figures I gave you were for the last 8 or 9 months, but we did have previous data training going on since I think 2018. So, but we've really ramped up with this training framework, and we are training a lot more people because the courses have moved online. So they've become cheaper to run, and they've become more accessible to more people. Regarding how do we measure the effectiveness of it, it's always a difficult question. We always seek feedback from everybody who participates. So there's a free feedback form, but we also target people from our network, people who actively publish data already, and we ask them for more in detail feedback. We ask them questions on the relevance of the data, how the practice of the data was run through. So I think it's really about communicating as much as possible, having both formal and informal methods. The obstacles for the training programs, well, during COVID, we moved entirely online. And so there were benefits and also challenges regarding that. So the benefits is, one of the benefits was that we could cut costs significantly, but we could also improve access. It's far easier for a public servant to take 3 hours out of their day rather than an entire day or even a day and a half if they had to travel to go to a course. So it improved access, but I think training can also lack a human element when it's entirely online. So that, I think, makes it a little bit more difficult. There was less informal exchange of ideas and experience. When the training is entirely online, there's less chat over coffee about the realities of open data publication or data management or data experiences. So there are pros and cons.
Thank you very much. There's another one. And do you have a differentiated plan and goals for central public administrations, regions, and municipalities?
And with regard to training, no, everybody has access to the same training courses, all public servants.
Okay. Then we had the one on someone saying connection issues. I hope they're resolved now. I think the connection seems to be stable. And so there's from which people are you facing more friction is one question.
I don't think I would call it friction. I think there certainly are challenges and people want to be empowered and they want to have the skills. And for the most part, I would say public servants are very enthusiastic about data management. It's an interesting skill. It's going to be useful for them, not just in their work, but in their general in their lives, because data and data management and understanding the concepts of good data management are key for everybody nowadays. I think there's a lot of worry about the requirements and about what they will have to do that is different in their job. But good data management also has the potential to make their job easier, to bring them efficiencies. And that is very much how I would be starting the conversation. I would say, oh, you have these FOI questions, you have these AIE questions, and this requires a certain amount of time and work. Use open data to get in front of this, publish the data proactively. So when these queries come in, you can just say, oh, look to our page on the open data portal. There you go. All of the information is there. So that's what I would always say to people who are a little bit reticent about open data and publishing.
Yeah, then I'm going to pick we have the
Yeah, the one about
thank you
data
much.
skills, you know.
Yes, regarding the participants, they have some basic data skills, right? Or are they also participants with no skills at all in the beginning?
There's a wide variety. Some of them can be very skilled in particular areas, but there are also introductory courses to people who have no experience.
Okay, very good. So the right range. Do you use specific data governance framework or methodology like DAMA, DMBOK?
No, we don't.
Okay, it's nothing. Thank you very much. It was all very interesting. We look forward to receiving the recording. Well, we'll share that. Does your training program include a data steward? What's your take on this?
No, it doesn't include data stewardship at the moment. That's certainly one of the next steps we will be looking at, but we're not in a position to do that at the moment. We don't have the resources and we don't have, I suppose, the critical mass of skills.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
I have one question for you, Helena.
Yes.
Olli was mentioning that they were trying to understand how to use new medium like a podcast. Did you try something new also on the communication side?
We haven't run a podcast, although it's one of the things that we are looking at, but we haven't done that yet. On the communication side, we have moved from in-person meetings to online meetings and online newsletters. So we tweet and we use our portal to communicate with our network. We're also setting up a new facility on our portal where our network can communicate with each other, where they can exchange ideas and experience and look at the projects that other people are doing in their organizations. But no, we haven't done podcasts or anything like that just yet.
Thank you.
Okay, I think there are no more questions. Thank you very much, Helena, for this presentation, and to all the participants for all these questions and interest. Before we close this session, we would kindly ask you all to turn on your camera, as we would like to do a quick screenshot of today's session.
I think, is that possible? Or we see.
Just
There probably might be restriction to that. Yeah, I think
don't
there's a
worry.
restriction to that.
We need to look better for next time. It's not a problem at all.
I'd like to, yes, and yeah, I think for now it seems to be a restriction for the camera, but yeah, seems to be the case. I think what we also want to share is our subscription for the next sessions. And
yeah, I took a quick screenshot of the speakers, but now if Christoph, you can share just our final slide,
yes,
where we invite you, if you haven't done it yet, to subscribe to our upcoming iTalks. Some of them do not include 2 or 3 panelists, but are just one speaker. And it's really your opportunity to, as we did today, try and come and ask as many questions as you want. Because this is also, we're trying with the Digital Innovation Lab to create synergies and share good practices and overall build bridges. I'll share in the chat as well the 2 links for the 2 QR codes that you can see, and I'll leave Maria Claudia to close this session.
Thanks, Athena. Thanks again to our speaker, Vitis, Olli, and Helena, for your very inspiring presentation and also very, very complete. I really appreciate this approach. I want also to thank my colleague Athena and Christoph for the great support, and hopefully the next time we can also improve this small issue about the chat. So sorry to the audience if you were not able to type in the chat. We encourage you to subscribe to our next talk that is going to be next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And our guest is basically we have 2 organizations, the Open Data Institute, ODI, and also the Public School of Technology, Public. So feel free to share this invitation with your network and with your friends. And also please don't hesitate in case you have idea and ongoing initiative about digital innovation, send us a message and we are more than happy to discuss with you for a future initiative. Thanks again. Thanks for your time and have a nice rest of the day. See you next week.
thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
To all
Thanks again.
attendees.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.